we are going to define the meaning of spirituality. It will be defined based on the definition of the spirit, journey of the spirit through space and time. Of course, this definition, it will be validated through the science based on classical mechanics, quantum mechanics, theory of relativity. These branches of the physics are classified based on the size. This is quantum mechanics deals with subatomic size. Classical mechanics deals with the normal size, normal which is visible by us. Theory of relativity deals with higher velocity, comparable with velocity of the light. And where branches of the physics are not applicable, we are going to talk about metaphysics. Let us see the journey through the space. We have soul world depicted in this green color, which we call it a Brahm or sixth element. We can call it a moksha or paramdham. It doesn't have space and time, so it is implied that no physics laws will be applicable. There will be human world or a universe. The definition of the size of the universe is defined in light years by scientists, and this human world is made up of 5 elements, whereas soul world is made up of the 6th element. And of course, there is space and time. All physics laws are applicable in human world. We are going to talk about spirit. So first, we'll define what is a spirit. We call it a soul. It is definitely eternal conscious energy, and it is our first actor of this drama. And we call it in philosophical or spiritual term, Purush. Purush is a body, and Shah means somebody who stays in the body, which is a soul. So let us find out where does it stay and why it is called as eternal. There are physics laws or medical laws, there are psychological laws where we do the past life regression. So based on that, we can find out that Purush or the soul is eternal. As far as location of the soul is concerned, it is located in the brain because that is the only organ which cannot be transplanted. And it is located in the brain between the pituitary gland and hypothalamus, which is the controlling power of the controlling location of the will. So Purush or soul is location in the brain, it's somewhere in the forehead. Now soul is of course eternal energy, conscious energy, and the energy of the soul is our thoughts or vibrations. In quantum physics, there is a Planck constant, and it is proportional to frequency of thoughts. When we are angry, frequency is high. When we are peaceful, frequency is low. When we are in so-called samadhi, frequency is 0. And so whenever we do any kind of a thinking, this energy is always discharged and then depend on the frequencies. When we are in samadhi, frequency 0, we feel peaceful because at that particular point of time, energy discharge is 0. So for the soul, the frequency is always 0. That is what is important. So in human world, all conscious energies will have a frequency which is greater than 0. In the soul world, the soul will have a number. Soul world is the world where souls reside before they take birth in human world. and they will always have some kind of a original equation, original energy, that is, we are depicted as a Q, and the human soul will have a DNA of H, which will have a 7 characteristics, and the soul normally has a conscious or the temporary memory, the conscious memory, which is part of the man and buddhi, and they are activated when the soul is in the human world. Well, there is a permanent memory, which we call it as the subconscious and unconscious mind, where summary of the actions which are which are of this birth and of the previous birth. For this birth, we call it the subconscious mind. For previous birth, we call it the unconscious mind. They are stored here. So mainly those vikars are stored in the subconscious or unconscious mind. And the spirituality, we are going to deal with those vikars. And all souls, they have an original sanskar, which is common for all souls. These original sanskars are the 7 sanskars. They are Gyan, Pavitrata, Shanti, Prem, Khushi, Anand, and Shakti. We have 8 powers, which is the Sahan Shakti, Samane ki Shakti, Nirnay Shakti, Parakne ki Shakti, Sahkar Shakti, Samna karne ki Shakti, Vistar se सार में जाने की शक्ति, and समेटने की शक्ति. We all call it, this is already said, this is a common, we call it a swadharma, because we are a soul, we are not a body. So the dharma, which should be common to all souls, is based on these 7 characteristics and those 8 powers. And this we call it as a quality of the soul. And then this quality of the soul varies for each soul. And all souls in the purest form, they reside in soul world. In the soul world, we have shown you the 2 scripts. One is a blue script and another is a dotted, which is a green script. So soul is always in the purest form in the soul world, which will 2 scripts. Those scripts will be executed in the human world. Whereas in the human world, we can see that it is in conscious mind, and we have depicted some of the souls with in hard disk or subconscious unconscious mind. There are some black layers are there, and green is the original sanskar, which are the same as in the soul world. It is there are only original sanskars or those 7 characteristics. Plus, there are 2 scripts. Once one soul comes in the human world, then it will have a conscious mind as well as those black layers. As time goes, it executes its scripts. Now, we are going to talk about Prakriti, which is the second actor of a human world. And then Prakriti is made up of the 5 element. So that is always a part of the human world or the universe. Prakriti is also energy. It is given by, that equation is given by the Einstein, mc square, is the velocity of the light. Prakriti will always have a mass. So it always display the dual characteristics. Sometimes it behaves like energy in quantum field, and sometimes it behaves as a mass. And Prakriti in quantum way, it is if you classify, it will be the minus element. It is made up of electrons and the quarks at quantum level. Sorry. Then Prakriti, while doing the journey of the soul interacts with the Prakriti. Our body parts are also part of the Prakriti or part of the fire element. And the soul, when during the journey, soul works as an observer, and the Prakriti is observed during the journey of the soul. And we'll see in the quantum physics that why the Prakriti is a duality is in general when Prakriti is in the form of quantum field like electrons and quarks, following Schrodinger's equation, it behaves like an energy, but when it is observed by the soul, it behaves like a mass or something which we are able to observe. We'll talk about that. So that is why Prakriti is considered as a duality. So it is a mass as well as it is an energy, and there is this conversion, mass to energy. This is given in this formula. Now, when the soul comes to the human world, there is always journey of the soul. We are going to talk about this journey. So there is in the soul world, there is all inverted religious tree. All the souls are classified as per the religion, and they are stored as an inverted tree. And we can see that it is the inverted tree where the top is the soul with high Q or high charge, the bottom soul with the fewer charges. The key is this charge depends on length of the script, means depending on the part the soul is going to play in the human world. If it's going to play more part, then it will have a more charge so that it can sustain that journey. So the Q is proportional to the length of the script. So here in inverted tree, we can see that here the souls which are resided in this part of the tree will have a more charge, and this part will have a less charge. And they are all classified or they are located as per the religion which we are going to adopt, which soul is going to adopt in the human world. And the root of this is going to be Supreme Soul, which we are going to talk about later. Then there are entry and exit rules. From the soul world, when we exit the souls, it exits one by one. When it enters the human world, but when you exit the human world, all human souls, they exit, or we can call it a kayamat at the same time. So this is exit all worlds. So this is the darker side is when all souls will, at the end of the cycle, all souls will come to the from the human world to the soul world. And this entry to the human world, the soul will enter the human world in the womb of a mother, and it will based on the charge and the time. The charge and time will determine by the charge at that particular point of the world and the charge of the soul. When it matches, soul will enter the womb of the human world at specific time. So in this inverted tree, this soul will enter first, then this soul, and this will be the soul which will be entered last. And every based on the charge and based on the time of the script, it will enter one by one. And because souls are entering the human world one by one as per their capacity of the charge. We will always find that population of the world always increase. Then we are going to talk about the journey of the soul. So we have understood entry rules, we have understood the exit rules. Now we are going to talk about the transfer rules. The soul will transfer from one body to another body, and which we call it as a death. Now let us first understand that when the worm enters. So initially for 3 to 4 months, there will be the life in the worm, which is in the form of the DNA. So we call it kind of a life. But after 4 to 5 months, when actually soul enters the worm, then we will have a conscious energy. And that is when the worm, there is some kind of life or, kind of, so soul kicks, the mother will feel so after 4 to 5 months. So that is where it becomes from the life to DNA. So there, the DNA is also Chaitanya, but this is a conscious. So after 4 to 5 months, you can see the conscious. And that is where energy body is being developed. And this energy body is based on these characteristics. As I said, the Gyan will give the neurological system, purity will give immune system, peace will give respiratory system, prem will give cardiological system, Khushi will give digestive system, Anand will give hormonal and endocrine systems, power, the 8 powers will give skeleton and muscular systems. So this quality of the soul will determine based on the net charge. It will determine the energy body, and this energy body will make our stool body or body of the 5 elements. Now, this is also proved by science, means human body subsystem is based on 7 qualities of the soul, is based on the current life and also past life. Science have found out in the current life, if there is a hole in the heart, hole means there is a lack of love. If you do the past life regression, then it was found out that that soul had not adequate love in the past life. And because of that, well, there is a lack of the love. And because of the lack of the love, the body is taken in this life as a hole in the heart. So human body subsystem of 7 systems has something to do with the soul. And we know that if there is going to be any disease, so that is founded by energy body or an aura. So if there is some patches in the aura, then science has proved that so relevant disease do happen. So the best part is you have to take care of the soul, so automatically body will be automatically taken care of. So we have seen these journey rules. of inverted tree, then entry rules, exit rule, transfer means death. And as you say, soul is eternal, so soul remains the same. Human bodies or human bodies will keep changing. Charge of the every soul has a role, so that charge is depend on the script of the role. And the key is that soul goes through the cycle, and some some religions believe that souls ultimately merge in the Brahma, or we consider it the Nirvana. But actually it never happens. It is always the part of the cycle. So the soul never merges in six element of Brahm, or some, as per some religion, it merges with Supreme Soul or Nirvana. So based on the quantum physics, in the quantum physics, there is a formula E is equal to H. So E1, N is a 1, is any discrete number, integer number. E1 is HF1, E2 is HF2. Means every soul with a distinct integer number. Because that I said there is always some kind of a number. So every soul has a different energy and it will have different frequencies. And as the quantum physics says that let me draw a notation. In quantum physics, this is energy 1. So this is H1, HF1. This is F2. H is a constant. This is F3 and this is Fn. So there are no energies in this region. So these are the discrete energies, or we can say the color also. Blue has this energy, red has this energy, or this kind of thing. So there cannot be anything in between. So there are no fractions. So this soul, so suppose this is soul 1 and this is soul 2. This cannot merge and come out with some average out and then we come out with it. This is not possible. So because of this feature of the quantum physics, because of this feature of the quantum physics, we can prove that the souls don't merge. They have an individual entity and there is nothing called a nirvana or a mukti. So because there is no merging. And it is always a cyclic eternal. So it is a cycle. There is no merging. And we always seen that why the population of the soul always increases. Now, when souls and place the script in human body, so there is always karma. The soul from the soul world, when it enters the human body, with a combination of it, there will always be the karma. So karma is when the script is being executed. The script executes as time passes. And what we have seen is that we have seen there are two scripts. One is this dotted line, and then there is a body conscious script, and this is a soul conscious script. So as the soul enters the first birth, So it is fully charged. So the whole the outer periphery is the charge. And as it is executes the scripts, we can see that charge is reducing. So what is happening is that the script here is getting executed. So originally the script is the outer one, and later on it becomes the inner one because script is getting executed. So the charge is getting reduced. So that is about the soul conscious script. In case of the body conscious script, the black layers, when your script is executed, body conscious, the black layers are getting formed. Because of these black layers also the charge means green part, you can see that green part from here to here is always reducing. So that is why we call it as a charge is reducing. The theory is that, logic is that when something becomes from new to old, or if there is some kind of engine, there is always going to be the friction. So the script is there is in the subconscious layer, or we can assume that there is some kind of a lubrication is there in the engine. And then when script is executed, the lubrication layer is getting reduced, or we can say the lubrication layer is some kind of a pralabdha, some bhagya. So bhagya is getting reduced. So it will have some kind of a sadasuk, because there is no karma is equal, because what is executed is your bhagya, and that is what is a soul conscious layer. In body conscious layer, when all that bhagya or that script is soul conscious script is exhausted, then there will be, or we can say that lubrication layer is exhausted, there will be wear and tear, which is the which is internal, which is part of the friction. So wear and tear increases, which is non-deterministic. So it is, we say the karma ki gati is guya. So we experience sukh and dukh, or we can say that we'll experience positive and negative feeling. So in subconscious, in soul conscious layer, we will not execute, we will not feel positive or negative, we'll always feel positive. So we are depicted by zero, so karma is zero. We'll have always, it will be a deterministic. So there will be no karma gati or guya gati is applicable, because it is all based on our pralabdha. And here pralabdha is exhausted, so we will have a guya gati of the form, and we experience sukh and dukh. This we'll all explain uh, in when we apply this different laws of the physics. So this is how the script is executed. And as you said, in subconscious layer, we are experiencing soul conscious layer, we are experiencing sadasuk. And in body conscious layer, we are experiencing sukh and dukh, which is depicted by the black layers. In subconscious layer, this dotted layers are getting exhausted. And as soon as it gets exhausted, we start, we still execute, so we'll start getting the black layers. Now, the theory behind it is that when we take the births, as time passes, we'll keep on taking number of births. So we start becoming from soul conscious, get, we'll start getting body conscious. So soul starts feeling that it is actually soul is a, actually we are a soul. So that is what is, we call it as a Maya. So Maya means actually we are a soul, but we feel we are a body. So that is what is our perception. So Maya is our wrong perception. So we are a soul, we feel body. And that happens more and more, we take more and more births, because soul gets attached to our body, and soul feels that we are body. Most of us at this juncture in the cycle, we really feel that we are body. Very rarely we feel that we are souls. And because of that kind of a feeling, because of that feeling of the Maya, we feel that when we are soul conscious, soul is, kind of infinite behad. So we feel body conscious, we hurt because we feel that our life is limited. So when we come when we go through from behad to had or unlimited to limited, we have more kamna or we have more ichha because we feel that our life and everything is limited. We have more greed, we have more, we have more kamna, and that generates vikar. And that those are all which are stored in our hard disk. So this is the black layer is vikar. So when our soul conscious script is exhausted and when it comes to the body conscious script, so those black layers is what is the vikas. So this is all is stored in our subconscious and unconscious mind. And we have seen that as the script is executed, with the charge, the net charge, this is what is the net charge, is also getting reduced. And this net charge will give birth of, that is our energy body. So if we can see the past life regression for every soul, we will be able to see that previous birth body is always superior to current birth body because as we said that this charge is always reducing. And we are going to see when we validate with physics as time goes on, the Prakriti, because of the entropy, that Prakriti also degrades and that entropy in the soul takes form of the vikar. So as time increases, entropy increases, as well as the vikar is increasing. So Prakriti also becomes more from sato to tamo. So is the soul also is going to become sato to samo. So that is how this cycle goes on. And and this subconscious mind or this because of this vikar, it correlates with our body. So more and more we becomes body conscious. We have more and more black layer and we feel that we are more and more, we feel that we are more and more, we feel more and more limited. We have more vikas and these vikas are stored in subconscious and unconscious mind. And see the key is that vikar is not of this birth. Vikar can be of the because of the previous birth and vikar is the habits of the script B. When we script B is executed, number of births, that black layer. And because of this vikars, normally we always react. We never respond. We react because of the anger, because of the lust, because of the greed. And we have vikars which can be determined by our dreams, the quality of the dreams. If some soul says that he doesn't have vikars, so he has to find out whether does he react to the external triggers or what is the quality of the dreams. Because of this reaction and kind of the dreams, we should feel that we definitely need some kind of a spirituality. Even the religious practices are not enough to get rid of this. So as we have seen this cycle, the soul comes to human world, this birth, it keeps on taking birth. They execute the soul conscious script, then body conscious script, and gradually you see that vikar are increasing, and this will keep on happening. So this is how, if this happens, you can say that drama is linear, and it will end because this vikar and then Prakriti entropy will go to the infinity. So this is one state of affairs. But we have seen that normally how long it will go on, how long it will go on infinity. This is minus infinity. So we can see this world. So at how long it will go. And if it has to be a cycle, then cycle is eternal. So all eternal things are cyclic, like like our day cycle, year cycle. And but this world cycle is beyond our birth. So people, we are not able to see in this our lifetime. But if it has to be eternal, because as far as science is concerned, we will be able to see that entropy is increasing, and because of that, vikar are also increasing. We can see that the whole world is becoming more and more vikari. So if there has to be a cycle, so what is the cycle? See, this is black layer. So if there is a cycle, this black layer has to vanish, and it again has to become total, totally green. Then and then we'll able to enter the soul world. So if the cycle has to be there, then there has to be a third actor, which which has to be beyond entropy boundary or beyond this red boundary, because this vikar has to go away. So that is what is indirectly mentioned in Gita. Yada yada hi dharmasya glani nirbhavati bharata. So that particular, and yuge yuge, so there has to be some kind of a param purush avtaran. And this has to happen yuge yuge, means it indirectly talks about some kind of a cycle. And what does it do? It will give you a Gita Gyan. And we always know that end of the Gita Gyan, there is always a Mahabharata or some kind of vinash through war or through natural calamities. And it talks about yuga yuga. So there has to be some kind of a cycle change. And who can do this change? So this change has to do by also a soul, which has a charge of infinity, and this number is zero. And that frequency is always less than zero. Here, normal soul, the frequency is always greater than zero. It's always discharged, and this is zero, means it has some kind of a charging characteristics. And then that actor is a if the if a if the world drama has to be a eternal cycle, then this actor has to be there, and we call it as the Param Purush, Supreme Soul, Paramatma, God. And it is only one, it is very unique. This is only one which has a frequency less than zero, and it will have a charger. Another characteristic of the Supreme Soul is that it never enters the womb of the mother. It never takes the birth. It's our, what we call it as our normal birth through the womb. So, and that is the reason it is called as the Supreme Soul. Difference is Q is infinity, and there is some specific numbers are there. The zero number is the Supreme Soul. Number one is, we can call it as Adam. Number two is Eve, and then different religions. This is how the numbers are given. And main role of this is charge the things, and only if it is charged, we can have the cycle. So that is the role of the Supreme Soul. So if it is going to be a cycle, we have seen that the cycle, it will go like this. Even Darwin also says that the cycle is a linear. It will go to the infinity. To what level it will go, we do not know. But we also feel that now time is going to come when we feel that there has to be a cycle. Be- So if there has to be a cycle, and as for Gita is slow, this is the time there is a cycle. So there is a and we also feel that there could be a world war is also possible, and that world war could be that is what is given in this kind of a Mahabharata. So if there is going to be a cycle, what is key is that as far as diagram is, black layer has to go has to become zero, and that can either become zero through yoga or through bhog. So, so let us understand what is yoga. So, so this yoga is that is what is a spirituality, and then that gyan is given, and the gyan is about the Maya. So what is the Maya? So we are a soul, we are not a body. Once you have this gyan, then with this it will help remove this black layer, and that can only be happen because we have to understand what is the supreme soul, and we have to match with this frequency, or we can call it as a yoga. And then by this charging frequency, we can remove our layers, black layers, where the default majority will remove it by bhog, means by karma bhog. So there are two ways we can remove by the yoga, and yoga to the yoga is yoga of soul with supreme soul, and that then we have to match with the frequency of the soul, but we have to feel that we are not body, we are the soul. So we have to that is we have to do it a Raj Yoga. Then we'll be able to remove this vikar. Not only we will be able to remove this vikar, but default people will do by the bhog, and that is we have to realize we are the soul. We have to realize which is a God, which is supreme soul, and that knowledge will have to come into conscious mind. And using the conscious mind, we have to remove the black layers which is stored in hard disk or unconscious mind. And while doing that, we will remove, we will generate a God conscious or soul conscious script. And that is what is this dotted line is it. We have to generate this God conscious script. So only if that we generate this God conscious script, we will be able to have execute the soul conscious script, and we will have some kind of a lubrication layer. So it will not be a karmic Guya Gati. So we will have some kind of deterministic life, or we can say that Sadasuk. Here our life is non-deterministic, and that's why we experience Sukh as well as Dukh. So this is what is spirituality. And as far as Gita Shlok is Yada Yada, so this is all souls will get only one birth. This is our last birth where we can get charged by becoming soul conscious, and we connect to the God. So we will become from soul conscious to God conscious. We will get charged, and then only through this charge we will be able to remove these layers, and by our purusharth, and we can generate this soul conscious script so that we can enjoy this world. And see, science also says that what is the spirituality? That is nothing but So it all is based on the frequency. So what spirituality is, that what we have experienced discharge, so many births, we have to get charged. Now, if we indulge in bhok or vikar, so that frequency will keep on increasing. And definitely the bhakti will definitely have a less frequency than what we indulge in vikars. So that way we'll keep discharging, but we'll always discharge, but we'll discharge at a lower rate. That's sannyas marg, or we'll do that. Their frequency will be even much lower, but frequency will always be zero. The samadhi's frequency is zero. So there will not be any discharge. But what is required is kind of a charge. So we have to connect with a negative frequency. So that is what is we have to become a God conscious. We have to become a yogi. So frequency is zero. Then and then vikar will be nullified and we'll be able to generate script, uh, soul conscious script, where karma bhog will be zero. We'll have a sada sukh, or we call it a heaven. So this is indirectly a journey from hell to heaven, again hell to heaven. This is kind of a cycle. So this is what is actually a spirituality, not bhakti, or not a sannyas, or not a samadhi, where you can control the frequency, but you will never be able to charge your vikars. So based on that, we will now see what is the journey of the soul. So, so it will be 5 states. So this is the state one, this is the state two, then this is a state three, this is state four, and this is state five. So what are those 5 states? This is nothing but nature of the queue. So initially, in the soul world, we are the purest souls. So when the souls are purest, it will come into this satyug. If everything is of 12, 15 years. So this is the satyug. Then when this layer is slightly, soul conscious layer is more executed, then this is called as a Treta Yuga. So this corresponds to a Treta Yuga. When when we become body conscious, then body conscious layer executes. So this is what is a Dwapar Yuga. So this depicts the Dwapar Yuga. And then this is a Kali Yuga. And at the end of the Kali Yuga, there will be Yada Yada. So there will be a avatarana of Paramatma, or Supreme Soul. So this is, we get only one birth. That is what is the Sangam Yuga. So what this birth, that is what is in this birth, in Sangam Yuga, we have to get charged. So those souls which will understand God and then get charged, so those are the souls which will generate scriptures, and those are the souls which will, and there are going to be around 33 crore souls which will be experience heaven, or which will be able to generate the script, soul conscious script. And those are the souls through the yoga, where they have removed the black layers. They will come in Satyug as well as Dwapar Yuga based on their Purusha. Other souls will always be in this Dwapar Yuga and Kali Yuga, and because they are not using Sangam Yuga for the spiritual endeavor, they they will have only this half cycles, and other souls will have the full cycle. So this Satyug and Treta Yuga, we call it a new world. So this is two new worlds. So two state is a new world. Then there is a Vikari world. So this Dwapar Yuga and Kali Yuga is the Vikari world. And most important thing is that, so these two worlds you cannot do anything. Every soul has to go through it. The key is that the spiritual world. So if in this small Sangam Yuga of one birth, if we can realize as per the Gita Gyan, and if we become soul conscious and get charged, become God conscious, and that is what is the real spirituality. Now let us try to apply those physics laws on first on two actors, namely Purush and Prakriti. And this Supreme Soul, we call it as a Param Purush. And, and we'll see when we talk about the cycle, with the role of the Param Purush. So let us apply those laws, physics laws on this. So we have this two axes. So once we apply quantum physics and theory of relativity on Purush and Prakriti, we are getting this straight line. And we are also getting this another vertical line. So this is y, this is a y-axis, this is x-axis. X-axis is the time, y-axis is about the quality, and this quality is about the vikar. So this is about the time. So we will we will we'll see how these laws are applicable. So we are trying to apply quantum physics and theory of relativity on two actors. So we will see the Prakriti. So Prakriti is a phi element in as far as quantum physics is concerned, and in unobserved state, it is made up of electrons, and it follows the Schrodinger's equation. So the Schrodinger equation is this Prakriti. If it is unobserved, it follows the Schrodinger equation. It is like tossing the tossing the coin. So when coin is tossed, it can have one state is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We don't know what is the state because it is in the kind of a superposition state. So as far as quantum physics is concerned, by default, Prakriti is always in Schrodinger's equation state. So it can be 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6. So there is a duality of the Prakriti. So when it is observed, so this is what it is when it is observed. So we say that it is 4. So when it is observed, then it behaves like a phi element, or it behaves like a mass. So this is a double slit experiment where I'll not go into the detail of it. So when Prakriti is observed by Purush, then it behaves like a mass, and if it is unobserved, it behaves like an energy. So what it shows, double slit experiment, is that observation by the Purush changes the behavior of the Prakriti. It becomes from energy, it becomes mass. And that is, so energy is the interference pattern and mass is the two slits. So once, And the best part is this observation is that when it is observed before and it is observed after, it becomes mass. So, so that from cause it becomes effect, and from because it is after, so effect becomes the cause. So it is two-way things, and because it is a two-way script, it is obvious that it is some kind of a script. So the observation is that Purush controls the Prakriti, but scientists were perplexed as if because it is controlling both ways. So the script also controls the Prakriti. The observation was Purush controls the Prakriti, script also controls the Prakriti. Uh, so what is that script? So there is a theory of relativity. So Prakriti is made up of scripts. Script is event. So XYZ is a space, T is a time. So event is a 4 dimension. So R is XYZ. So this event is a script and time. And this event, so this event, this is a starting point, this is the ending point. So cause to effect. So there is a world line irrespective of observers, so reference observers. So this is the world line. So this event is a cause and this event is an effect. So that then only it will become a space line. So there is some kind of a space line interval. So by theory of relativity, it was derived that this black line means from this point, it will go to this point, but it cannot go to this point. So that is what is the law of causation. So Prakriti also believes in law of causation, means certain events can happen. So this event from past, it can happen to future. And this is, relative. If I change this, um, see, if I change this plane to here, so these 2 points were simultaneous. But if I change this plane, then you will feel that this point is before this point. So we do not know which point is, as far as time is concerned, which point is one and which point is two. So we know that this is cause and this is effect. So based on the theoretically, they have come with a space-time interval, and that based on this space-time interval, they have derived that from this point you can go to this point, but you can never go to this point. So this Prakriti also follows some kind of a law of causation. So there will be always be cause and effect. So it will go from cause to effect. It cannot go anywhere else. And this is something to do with speed of light also. So this is a cone. So in this cone, this is a past cone, this is a present cone, this is future. So from this point, it will can go here, but it can never go anywhere else. So we'll not go into the detail of it. So what does it say? That Prakriti follows. So Prakriti follows this law of causation, and we know that Purush controls the Prakriti. So because Purush controls the Prakriti, so Purush has to follow this kind of law of causation. So Purush script, what we have talked about the script is Purush script is nothing but storage of all these events. This we call it as a nasib. So ultimately the script of the Purush is controlling the Prakriti, and then that script of the Purush. So this is the soul and this is the Prakriti. So as by default we say that it is Schrödinger's equation. So Prakriti by default is a wave. Only when as per the script it will generate some signal, means when I am observing. So based on the signal, based on the Schrödinger equation, it will give this solution, and this solution will be what we will see. So this will have multiple uh, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so this is sigma 1, 2, 3, 4, and this will be and. So this will be this and this and this. It is like tossing the coin. But when we observe, so it will get one of the things, so like 4. So this equation will be, this is a sigma 4. So this is what we get. So the script, as per the script, we will get this result. So ultimately, script of the Purush, based on the script of the Purush, it controls the Prakriti. So this is what applying quantum physics and theory of relativity, this line. So this line, Q plus RT, is, so when we apply quantum physics on two actors, Purush and Prakriti, we know that Purush controls the Prakriti, but ultimately when we observe before and after, we say the script controls the Prakriti. So Purush and script controls the Prakriti. Then when we applied theory of relativity on 5 element, we know that Prakriti follows the cause and effect rule. And we know that Purush controls the Prakriti. So Purush also has to follow this cause and effect. So Purush, we know that Purush in our Nasib also follows. So Purush is controlled by our Nasib. That is a script. So when combine these two, so ultimately it derives that Purush, the script which is written in the Purush, controls the Prakriti. But here we say that it doesn't talk anything about the quality. So we say assume that quality is a constant, and then we are going to talk about S is an entropy, so that quality remains the constant. So this we have seen. So this is what the conclusion. This first line is this conclusion. Now what happens when we do the karma? So we apply, like in engine, karma is we have to do some engine. So we have taken analogy of the heat engine and we are going to compare with soul. So when we do any karma, so as far as 5 element is concerned, or as far as we know that first, what is the first law of thermodynamics says that conservation of energy. So quantity is constant. And first law of thermodynamics says that quality is also constant because that law says says that this energy. So this energy flows both ways, it's reversible. So here, if I convert from here to here, I can always go back from here to here. So then qualities will be also constant and quantity will be also constant. The second law of thermodynamics says that you can go from here to here. So you can make from milk to curd, but by spontaneously curd cannot be made milk. And because of that, the quality will always deteriorate. So quality will always be deteriorating, and it will deteriorate to the extent it will go as bad as infinity. So this quality is deteriorating. So the quality is deteriorating. So it is going up to the infinity. And because of that, the reason is entropy. So that is the definition of entropy. So the definition of entropy is that it is always increasing because if you want to go back, so if you want to make tooth out of the, so you have to go back in time. So that is not possible. Physics doesn't allow to go back to the time. So that characteristic, of that means everything is in one direction and it is not reversible. It can only be reversed if you go back in time. That is not possible, and that is what is entropy. So that is the second law of thermodynamics, and that is the law of entropy. So what it says that Prakriti, because of thermodynamics, whether quantity is constant, so, but energy can be converted, whether energy is constant, but the quality of that energy is always deteriorating, and as time goes by, this is deteriorating. So this is what is explained by this curve. So as for quantum physics, it was straightway the quality was constant, and now this is the quality is getting deteriorated. Let me clear this out. This we already seen. Now let us, we have seen up to this. Now we will see, uh, we will apply second law of thermodynamics and try to figure out. See, now when we apply this second of thermodynamics, so what it says that Prakriti always deteriorates, so that it will becoming Sato to Tamo. So from Prakriti now we'll try to derive what is happening to Purush. Normally we know that Purush controls the Prakriti, but we are taking the help of science. So science only deals with Purush, and we'll try to deal with Prakriti. So we'll try to derive what happens to Purush. So when we are now with Prakriti, so we'll take example of the heat engine, and heat engine has two cycles, reversible and irreversible cycle, and then we'll try to correlate that function with the Purush. So the heat engine is what? It is converting Q means heat energy into the work, and this is how the heat engine looks like. So it has a two cycles. One is a reversible cycle. So this is what I have explained, the reversible cycle. So sorry. So in the reversibles, see in this reversible cycle, we say that it will always go from the source to sink. So this is the process. So here this is the source and this is the sink. So when in this process, when we do that, so there will always be, if engine has to give some kind of work, so this is the work. This is the work. So some energy is always lost. And because this energy is always lost, so the whole energy cannot be transferred into work. So there is always be some exhaust. We know that there is always going to be exhaust. So because of that, energy efficiency is always less than one. And because of that, efficiency is always less than one. We always say that when you execute the script, it will always be downgraded, whether even if it is going to be a ideal engine. So this is going to happen. So here what happens, we'll not go into the detail of it. This is entropy, because if it's reversible thing, this entropy is determined, and we can't see that it is a point function. So this process is always a deterministic process. So this is the, and this is a dqt is zero. This is a balance. What is balance means? This and this is equal. Okay, there is no other loss, and this whatever is source to swing, this is equal. So this, it will keep on following this. This is a balance, and that efficiency only depend on the external things. So efficiency will reduce if this temperature is reduced, and if this temperature increases, then efficiency is reduced. But it's always be deterministic. This is what we call it as a uh, reversible reversible cycle. So the characteristic of the reversible cycle is that it is totally in balance. It will all based on the external environment and everything is deterministic. Once, or we can say that there is, as far as this is, some lubricating layer has been put, because lubricating layer has been put and everything is under control. When we come to irreversible cycle, what happens that when it keeps working, then what happens that internal this friction is generated. So this is internal friction is generated. Because of this internal friction, this extra energy is leaked. So this exhaust is always there, but this extra energy is leaked. So this is what is an entropy because of the non-linearity of the. This is because of the internal problems. So automatically, because this is leaked, so this work is still further reduced. This work was reduced by QL exhaust, but it is now further reduced. But the problem is that here it was deterministic, so it was recycled. But this is lost forever, and because this is destroyed, this energy is destroyed forever, uh, and because this destroyed is energy, so this source is also reducing, sink is increasing. So there is time is going to come when this source temperature and sink security becomes zero, and it will become efficiency zero. So the capacity of work will going to reduce, and that is the reason people call it as a thermal breakdown. So this is a deterministic one. It was going down, but this is going down in a very faster space, and this is what scientists also worried. So that is what is a thermal breakdown, and it is non-deterministic because of the internal behavior of the engine, or this is kind of non-linear. And then it is in mathematics it's called as a path function. This is called as a point function. So because of this, now this we are talking about thermodynamic entropy. So from thermodynamic entropy, we'll go to the statistic entropy. From statistic entropy, we go to the information entropy. So this will not go into the detail of that. So this information entropy. So information entropy, you see here, information entropy, they use some kind of a demon, thought experiment. Demon is a kind of a soul, a human being. It has a memory and it has a processing power. And that is what is the information entropy. So from this entropy, we'll come to something called as the information entropy. And that heat engine, which is a non-linear, this is a friction. So this information entropy, we can correlate with the soul. So what is that information entropy? We call it as something called as a vikar. So this information entropy, we will be able to correlate with vikar because as time goes, so we are trying to compare heat engine with soul. So with time goes, we can say that friction goes. When time goes, friction. When time goes, the script is executed, we become more and from body conscious to soul conscious. So we become from soul conscious to body conscious, sorry. So we'll become bare to earth. And because of that, more information is there. Because of that, more information is there. And that uh, the equation of this entropy is also logarithm. Information entropy is the equation is also logarithm. So see, this is the logarithm. So if there is more and more information, we have to do more and more searches. So we do more and more vikalp, and that is what is a information entropy. And and because when we think limited, we'll feel because of this, we'll more and more vikalp is there. And this is what is a vikar is defined because of the kamna, there is body sensation is calm, relational attachment more, object attachment low. And if this is not fulfilled, then there is ego. If it is not fulfilled, there is a krodh. And key is this vikar. This vikar is internal. It is attached to soul. It has nothing to do with body. So our religion is based on bodies because we purify the body, we do the fasting and all that by punishing it. So this is hurting the five elements. The spirituality is because the vikar is attached to soul, which is a black layer. So we have to purify the soul and we have to purify the black layer. So this is what it is. So I mean, rather than going to the details, so what we have understood is that from Prakriti we go to the Purush, and we are trying to, the Prakriti entropy is the equivalent to Purush Vikar, and we can see that deterministic is Sukh, non-deterministic is Dukh, lubrication is the script Pralad layer, this is energy, is a karma can be, here karma will be zero, here karma because of the entropy, karma will be positive and negative. This is kind of a sankalp. This is a sankalp is required for any kind of work. The problem entropy is this is a vikalp is the problem. And then this is the entropy, this is a friction, and this is a vikar. So that we have tried to explain this. This is what we have tried to correlate these things. So let us go back. So what we have seen is that from the Purush, and we know that Purush controls the Purush vikar controls the vikar of the Purush controls the entropy of the soul. And we have also seen that there are two cycles. This is this is the ideal cycle, and this is the non-ideal cycle. So this is the ideal cycle, executable scripted. This is non-ideal cycle. And we say the ideal cycle, it is only because of the external environment, or we can say it is a pralabdha layer. So prarabdha layer is it is the karma is it is kind of a lubrication. So we get experience sada sukh. And then with non-ideal cycle, because of the internal friction, because of the vikar, there will be karma brok. It is non-deterministic, and we will experience sukh and dukh, plus and minus. So this we have seen these two cycles. Now we have seen that this can go on and on. As far as science of physics is concerned, it has to go in, or even in Darwin theory, it will go up to infinity. But what we always know that as far as physics is concerned, what physics says that quantity is constant, second thermodynamics, quality is deteriorate, you will go to infinity, and because of that, time is increasing, entropy is also increasing. So, so if time is going to be cycle, so there is the way time has to, so see, time is always increasing like this. So somebody has to bring back the time. Who will bring back the time? Entropy cannot bring back the time, because when it becomes milk to curd, you cannot become, curd cannot become milk, because entropy is always increasing. That is, so time cannot go back. So, but what we have seen is that who controls the entropy? The vikar of the Purush is going to control the entropy. So if there is going to be a cycle, so if there is going to be a cycle, how that can happen? That vikar has to control the entropy. So vikar has to reduce, entropy will reduce. Because entropy will reduce, time will reduce, and time will become zero, and then we will have a fresh cycle. So who will reduce the vikar? So physics or anything inside this circle, inside this universe, have no power to reduce the vikar. So as I've seen in spirituality graph, this why this quality is always going to get deteriorated. So there is no way, you have to go like this only till till there is avtaran. Because till this happens, okay, because what is going to do this? This is going to reduce vikar either by yog or by bhog. So only if that vikar is reduced, then we can have a cycle. So without this avtaran, this cycle is not possible. And and you see, this is the actually curve. See, this is the curve. So here this is a linear thing. So this is what is our ideal part. And this is once vikar comes in, the internal things comes into the picture, it starts deteriorating very fast. We'll see that life things are deteriorating very fast. Before it deteriorates completely, there is avtaran so that there is a chance for people to reduce the vikar by yoga or by develop the script of this purushas. It's kind of a lubrication layer. If there is no lubrication, then vikar can also be reduced by some kind of resettlement or reshaping. So, you reshape it. And then when you do the reshape, so there will be, well, machine is reshaped. So, we apply a lot of chisel and all those things. So there will be some kind of agony or some kind of heat treatment is given and all that. So the key is that by metaphysics, whether you are going to reduce by yoga or by reducing by the hook, so that we have to see. And once we do that, again, next cycle starts. So let us understand. Let us apply this some classical physics laws on how this vikar is made zero by karma bhog. So karma bhog, we know that it is the third law of Newton, action and reaction. We know that law of causation is applicable to soul also. So we do the action and reaction, but there is the reaction or karma bhog is always by some delay because soul is eternal. So there is always be delay with compound interest. Every action is equal and opposite reaction. This is what when we do by yoga. So what are the principle of the yoga? Yoga is once we say that we have to match the frequency of the soul with supreme soul. That is yoga. Okay, and that is not karma. It is not a karma yoga because only when you match this frequency, and that is you have to use man and buddhi, conscious mind. So gyan is in intelligence. That is not a bhakti. This is a gyan means what gyan means. You are a soul. There is a supreme soul. So you have to understand that. Only when you understand it, and then uh, man will have to have a sattvic de dharma, so that then only our soul frequency, our body frequency, when we become non-body conscious, then and then we become a soul conscious. So we have to have some kind of a dharana. And then when we do that, when we concentrate between this some kind of a electromagnetic waves, when this when man and buddhi, this is man, this is buddhi. So it is like electronic wave. When they are conscious, when they are become soul conscious, automatically electromagnetic wave is generated, and then we can communicate with the supreme soul. And once you communicate with supreme soul, so that energy, this is a supreme soul. So there is a we are communicating, and once then communicating like a focus. When you focus, this energy is there, and this vikar is becomes zero. So this is what is a yoga. And through yoga, you communicate, and there is vikar is zero. And how you know that you are able to realize that there is a principle of resonance. So when the frequency of soul and this is matches, so when frequency matches, there is you will always get a peak. So that's we call it as atindriya sukh. And why atindriya sukh is that indriya sukh is always follows the law of diminishing utility, whereas atindriya sukh doesn't follow law of diminishing utility. So all these principles, so there is a resonance, there is Atindriya Sukh, there is law of diminishing utility, Indriya Sukh, and then there is a focus with electromagnetic waves, the Raj Yoga. So Vikar is reduced. So these are the some of the physics, classical physics laws we are applicable for uh, this kind of things. Uh, Let me. Anyway, so this we have applied those laws. Then yes, uh, um, we'll have more clarity of these laws on this slide. This we have already seen. So this is this is our law. Script is controls the property where quality is always constant. Then this is a y-axis that we have already seen. The quality of both the elements are reducing. So this is the axis where Purush and Prakriti become Sato-Tamo. It can go up to infinity. So this is the Sato Pradhan stage. This is the Tamo Pradhan stage. Then we have taken analogy of engine and soul, which we have seen that. So this is the ideal cycle. This is the ideal cycle. This is a non-ideal cycle. And depends only on external things. This depends on external plus internal things. And then we have seen that combine this entropy to vikar. This we already seen, pralabdha and karma. Then we know that this is a cycle. The cycle happens at Avtaran when Purush Tamodu suppose. When cycle comes, then will become, this is the cycle. So somebody who take this kind of a cycle of the spiritual way of becoming Tamo to Sato, and this is by yoga, this is by bhog, uh, we will see that. So this again, from Tamo you have become Sato, and then all the souls go back at the same time, the end of the cycle. The new cycle starts, and this is the new cycle start. This is a cyclic journey. And now what we are saying that we are going to now see the soul journey, individual soul journey. So see, this is, as I said, there was a tree was depicted. So there was tree was depicted. And so this is the soul with a higher charge, and this is the soul with a lower charge. So now we talk about the journey of the soul with a higher charge. So these are the souls which execute script S. So this is the script S, and these are the souls which only execute script B. So this soul, at particular point of time, it will come back here. Then it will follow this part. This is script S. Then everybody has to execute script B. because this is following this, so it will give charge using this as well as this, and then it will go back here. This soul will go back here, and this soul will have this cycle. So this soul, which was executing script as, has come here, is executed this and go back, and this is script. So here, because he has done, he has removed the vikar by yoga, and he has generated script as, so he is able to experience the script as, or we can say that not nirvikari world, or we where we can experience the sada sukh, the deterministic world. So this is what is a travel of soul. Then let us see the other soul, which has only script B. So here he will come here, experience this. From here he will go back. So this is a script bit he is experiencing here. He will use this. He will always follow this bhog mark. He will come back here, and again he will come back here. So these are the scripts of most of the souls. This script is only for 33 crore souls, and balanced souls will always follow this kind of a script, and it is always controlled by the physics. So there will always be, this will always happen settlement. This is always happen by settlement by a book. So this is the time. It is like 31st March of the our cycle. So this is the time you have to be very careful. If you don't follow this red line, you will have a you have to do a lot of settlement to do that. So this is the settlement cycle. So this is what is a soul journey. So it is very obvious that this charge of this soul is much higher, charge of this soul is much less. Let us go back to this cycle, and now let us understand. So what is actually definition of spirituality is that from metaphysics, from yoga. So this red line, only if you remove the vikar by this red line, not by bhakti or sannyas or anything, then only you will be able to enjoy this red line. So because you have to develop this script as, that is what you have to do, the purusha, then you will get the pralab, and then you will be able to enjoy the deterministic or sukh, or what we call it as a heavens. This is what is a spirituality from MY to TR. So if you execute MY, then only you will have a ideal path, and then of course you have to follow. So what does it mean? This y-axis is all based on the time. So everything starts as once supreme soul avtaran, then only everything else. Otherwise, before that, everything is happening as per the normal thing. Everybody, both Purush and Prakriti, were becoming from Sato to Tamo. Nobody can do anything because everything was going low, because there was no avtaran. So only when somebody from this part beyond law of entropy comes, gives you knowledge, then and then you can follow this. So this is what is the definition of spirituality. This is the definition of the spirituality. So, so in general, we have explained drama of souls. We have used three actors: Param Purush, Purush, and Prakriti. We have used, we have not talked about third space, which is the angel world. And then we have talked about time. The time is, we have seen cyclic journey. What is cyclic journey? Q. So Q is, what is the cyclic journey? Soul is, because what is the supreme soul? Q is infinity, Q is a constant. Soul is, Q is reducing, Q is reducing, and again Q is getting charged. So everything is happening here. Here there is nothing happens because there is no space, no time, no karma. So our journey of the soul is that Q is reducing and Q is increasing. So we can say that this journey from heaven to hell. It is, if you want to experience the heaven, so you have to do Raj Yoga. So you have to connect, you have to understand the God, you have to connect with the God and do the Raj Yoga. We will again see, we have most of the physics law we have validated, past life reverberation, we have no brain transplant, human body subsystem, soul merge, we have seen that, quantum physics, we have seen relativity, we have seen law of entropy, we have seen Purush and Prakriti both become Sattva, drama is a cycle because of the history and because of eternal. So because drama is a cycle, we are becoming Sato to Tamo, we also become Tamo to Sato. So this both is like, only if that happens, the cycles. So all eternal thing has to be cycles. And we have seen the law of Avtaran. So there is a Gita, Param Purush Avtaran, and that Avtaran, because it happens, and you need some kind of a body. So the Supreme Soul, which is Avtaran, that body is of the Brahma. And that is why we people say that Brahma creates the surge. It doesn't create the surge. It is transformed the world to Gita and Raj Yoga. So Brahma is only a nimit. Real work is done by the Param Purush. Then we have seen electromagnetic wave. This is how we connect with Man and Buddhi. Buddhi is Gyan, Man is this. And then we have seen focus, Vinash, why focus, Vikarma is Vinash, Tamur Shatavayu, then there is electral resonance, then we experience Atindya Sukh. Indriya Sukh is law of diminishing utility. Newton's third law, action reaction, there is a Time. Last one is the law of entropy is what Sato, we make Sato to Tamo. That is very clear. What is Darwin theory of evolution? That is also linear. This is also linear. Darwin theory says Tamo to Sato because Darwin says that from monkey you become human. So you become more Sato. So monkey is the Tamo, human is Sato. So law of entropy and Darwin theory of evolution is contradictory, and so that is not valid. So what we have seen the definition of the spirituality. We have validated most of the definition of the spirituality by physics laws. Only one law, which is metaphysics, the Pura Param Purush Avtaran, that is what is given in Gita, and that we say that because of the law of entropy, you have to have Param Purush Avtaran, and that is how this is what we have seen this Purush law of this, and this is the end of our presentation. Shanti.